The lab escape. The night was quiet in the mountains. Stars covered the dark sky, and the wind moved softly through the trees. But deep inside the hidden human research base, everything was not calm. Bright red lights flashed in the long white halls. Sirens rang loudly. Soldiers ran with weapons in their hands. Something had gone wrong. Something very wrong. Inside one of the lower labs, a glass chamber stood open. The glass was broken from the inside. Liquid covered the floor, and the table inside the chamber was empty. "She's gone," said one scientist in a shaking voice. His name was Dr. Thomas, and his hands were cold with fear. "Lock the doors. Search the area. She must not leave the base." In the corner of the room, another scientist stared at a large screen. It showed the subject's vital signs, her heart rate, brain activity, and energy levels. All the numbers were changing fast, faster than normal, faster than anything human. "Her organs are shifting again," the assistant whispered. "They're reacting to freedom." Outside the lab, down a narrow hallway, the alien girl moved silently. Her skin glowed faintly in the dark, a soft shade of silver blue. Long, violet hair fell over her back. But the most unusual part of her body were the tentacle-like organs that grew from her lower back. There were 4 of them. They moved on their own, like they had minds of their own. The tentacles pressed gently against the walls, feeling vibrations, checking for danger. She wasn't running. She was calm. Her strange, black eyes blinked slowly. She moved with grace, not fear. But inside her, something was changing. Fast. Her body was not just alive, it was evolving. She reached the emergency tunnel, where a metal door blocked the exit. It was locked with a handprint scanner. Her hands wouldn't work on human tech. But her tentacles reached forward. They glowed softly, changing shape as they touched the scanner. One became flat like a human palm. The light flashed green. Access granted. The door opened. She stepped into the tunnel. But her body shook. Her legs felt weak. Her organs were shifting again. Something inside her was struggling to stay balanced. Maybe escaping the lab had pushed her too far. She sat down against the tunnel wall. The tentacles wrapped around her like a protective shell. They shimmered and moved slowly, like they were listening to something. Then, she heard footsteps. Back in the lab, Dr. Thomas shouted at the soldiers, "Don't hurt her. She's not like the others. She's more advanced than anything we've seen. If she dies, we lose everything." "She broke out of containment," the soldier replied. "We have orders. Bring her back dead or alive." Dr. Thomas looked at the screen again. The data was still updating. Her body was changing too quickly. Every few minutes, her internal structure changed. Bones, muscles, even blood type. "Her biology doesn't follow any rules," he whispered. "She's not just an alien. She's a living puzzle. And now we may never solve it." The tunnel led out into the forest. The alien girl pushed forward, holding the walls for support. Her tentacles guided her like extra arms, helping her stay upright. She finally reached the surface. The cool night air touched her face. Her glowing skin faded, blending in with the shadows. She walked through the trees, her steps slow but steady. She had escaped, but she wasn't safe, and she wasn't done. Hours passed. In a nearby town, a young man named Alien sat in his small repair shop, cleaning engine parts. He lived alone, fixing broken machines, dreaming of space travel. He had no idea that something not human was moving toward him through the woods. He stood up and stretched. Suddenly, he heard a soft noise outside. He walked to the door, opened it slowly, and looked around. Nothing. But then he saw it, glowing silver marks on the ground, like footsteps made of light. He followed them around the back of his shop. There in the corner, curled up beside his tool crates, was a girl. No, not a girl. Something else. Her skin shimmered in the moonlight. Her tentacles moved weakly, curling in and out. Alien froze. She looked at him, not with fear, but with tired, quiet eyes. Eyes that had seen too much. And just before she closed them again, her tentacle lifted and pointed to his old chalkboard. Then, using one of her tentacles, she slowly drew a strange symbol, one that looked ancient, like something out of an old cave painting. Alien stepped closer, confused and curious. He didn't know it yet, but this night was going to change his life forever. She draws the ancient symbol. The night grew colder, but Alien didn't move. He stood there in silence, staring at the alien girl lying in the shadow of his tool crates. The soft glow of her skin had faded, but her tentacle organs moved gently, as if they were still awake while she slept. The symbol she drew on the chalkboard burned in his mind. It was a shape he had never seen before, a perfect spiral with lines that curved outward like flowing waves. But something about it felt familiar, almost like it was calling to a memory he didn't know he had. He stepped closer, heart pounding. She didn't react. Her body was still, too still. He reached out and gently touched her shoulder. Suddenly, her tentacles shot upward, fast, sharp, like whips. They wrapped around his wrist before he could pull back. His breath stopped, but they didn't squeeze. They pulsed. Soft blue light flowed through them, traveling into his skin. It felt warm, not painful, not dangerous, just strange, like electricity mixed with water and wind. Then, images rushed into his head. Not memories, visions. He saw a planet covered in silver oceans and glowing trees, skies filled with giant flying creatures that had wings like glass, cities built into cliffs and waterfalls. And then, destruction. Ships appeared in the sky, black ships with red lights. Alien voices screamed. Fire, panic, running. And then, her. The same girl, standing in front of a broken gate, her tentacles holding something glowing and golden. A crystal. No, an egg. An energy source. She ran. And everything went dark. Alien fell backward, gasping for breath. The tentacles let go. The girl was awake now. Her black eyes looked at him without blinking. What was that? He whispered, holding his head. She moved slowly, her body still weak. Her tentacles drew another symbol, this time on the dirt, a star inside a circle. Then she touched her chest and said one word. Althea. Alien's eyes widened. Was that her name? He pointed to himself. Alien. She tilted her head. Her tentacles relaxed. They had made contact. Hours passed. The sun began to rise. Inside the workshop, Alien covered the windows and turned off the lights. He didn't want anyone to see her. He didn't know who was looking, but he knew someone would be. No one just escapes from a military base without being hunted. Althea sat quietly, wrapped in a blanket. Her tentacles rested but twitched every few minutes, like they were sensing the air. Who are you? Alien asked. She didn't answer in words. Instead, she stood up, slowly, and touched his old holoscreen. The machine buzzed to life. She used her tentacle like a stylus, drawing symbols faster now. They looked like a mix of star maps, chemical structures, and language glyphs. Then she pointed to one of the symbols, a spiral surrounded by tentacles. Your body, Alien guessed. She nodded. Mutation. Change. She nodded again. Why? Her tentacles curled inward. She looked down. Sad. Then she pointed at him and drew a human body. Then drew a line connecting them. You need me? Alien asked. She nodded again. But before he could ask more, a loud buzz echoed from outside. A military drone flew over the trees, scanning the area. Alien grabbed Althea's arm and pulled her deeper into the shop. They ducked behind a wall of crates. How did they find you? He whispered. Her tentacles wrapped around her own body, and one pointed toward her chest. Alien understood. She was sending out energy signals. Even if she didn't mean to, She was being tracked. He had to hide her better. "Come on," he said. "I know a place." They walked through the forest, keeping low. Althea followed closely, her steps slow but steady. Her tentacles helped her walk, wrapping around branches and trees to stay balanced. Alien led her to an old mining shelter, half buried under rocks and vines. It was forgotten, hidden. Inside, he gave her water and dried food. She didn't eat. Instead, her tentacles reached out and touched the stone walls. They pulsed again, like they were scanning the structure. Then something strange happened. Glowing symbols appeared on the stone. Same symbols she had drawn before. "What is this?" Alien asked. She stepped back and looked at him. "Old world," she said slowly. Her voice was soft, cracked, but clear. "What old world?" She didn't answer. But Alien had a feeling the truth was much bigger than he imagined. As the day ended, Althea lay down to rest again, her tentacles wrapped around her like a cocoon. But outside, in the shadows, a drone clicked quietly. A red light blinked. It had found her, and it was already sending a signal back to the base. The hunt had begun again. The secret under the stone. Inside the old mining shelter, the air was thick and still. Soft rays of sunlight slipped through broken wooden beams above. Althea lay curled in the corner, her silver skin glowing gently in the dim light. Her 4 tentacles moved slowly, scanning the ground like they were searching for something hidden beneath the surface. Alien watched her quietly, sitting on a rusted metal box. He hadn't slept. He couldn't. Too many questions filled his mind. "Althea," he whispered, "what are you really?" She didn't answer. But her tentacles stopped. Then one of them slammed into the stone floor. Alien jumped. The tentacle pulled back, and a small piece of the ground cracked open. There, underneath the dust and rock, was a strange metal plate. It didn't look human. Smooth, curved edges, glowing lines across its surface. And in the center, a symbol, the same spiral with tentacles. "You knew this was here," Alien said slowly. "You were looking for this." Althea stood. Her body moved with more strength now. She placed her hand over the plate. Nothing happened. But then, one of her tentacles lit up bright blue. She touched the plate again with the tentacle. Click. The ground rumbled. A section of the shelter's floor opened downward, revealing a dark, glowing tunnel. Alien stared in disbelief. "What is this place?" Althea stepped forward without fear. He followed her down. The tunnel was unlike anything Alien had seen before. It wasn't made of stone or steel. The walls were smooth and warm, like living skin. Lights moved inside the walls, tiny blue veins of energy that pulsed in rhythm with their footsteps. Althea walked ahead, her tentacles glowing brighter the deeper they went. "This isn't a mine," Alien said, breathless. "This is a ship, or a base, or something living." Althea turned to him. Her voice was weak, but she spoke. "Old sanctuary," she said. "My kind made it, long time ago." "Your kind? You mean, you've been here before?" She nodded. "Long before humans came," she added. Alien's mind raced. Ancient aliens, hidden sanctuaries, living metal. What else didn't they know? They reached a chamber deep underground. The room was large and round, with walls covered in symbols and strange markings. In the center stood a crystal pod, about the size of a person. Glowing softly inside was a liquid that shimmered like starlight. Althea walked to the pod and placed both her hands on it, her tentacles wrapped around the base. Suddenly, the room lit up. Floating holograms appeared, moving images of stars, planets, and war. Alien saw giant alien ships destroying planets. He saw strange creatures infected by something black and crawling. And he saw Althea's world, burning. "What is this?" he asked. Althea pointed to one of the black creatures. Its body was full of spikes, and its eyes were empty. "This," she said, "is what killed us." Alien stepped back. "A virus?" he asked. "Not virus," she replied. "A weapon. It changes bodies, breaks minds, spreads fast." "And you?" Alien asked. "How did you survive?" She looked down. "I didn't," she said softly. "I was remade." Alien's heart sank. "You're saying your body is not your own anymore?" "Part mine, part othered," she said. "But I control it. For now." Her tentacles moved again, faster this time, scanning the crystal pod. One of them inserted itself into a small slot on the side. The crystal flashed. "Inside here," she whispered, "is code. Cure." Alien couldn't believe it. "You mean, this is why the scientists were after you? You carry the cure to that thing?" She nodded. "But if your body is changing," he said slowly, "how long before you lose control?" She didn't answer. But the look in her eyes was clear. "Not long." Just then, a noise echoed from above. Alien's eyes widened. "They're here." He pulled out his old scanner. A red dot blinked on the surface. A dropship had landed above the forest. Soldiers. Maybe scientists too. Althea turned to him. Her tentacles wrapped around the crystal pod. "Must protect this," she said. "How?" Alien asked. "They'll take you. They'll kill you." "Not if they don't find us," she whispered. "Follow." She led him deeper through a side tunnel. This one was even narrower. The walls closed in, warm and humming. They emerged in a new chamber, this one darker, filled with floating pods. Some were broken. Others still glowed. "What are these?" Alien whispered. "Others like me," she said. "Failed, or sleeping." Alien walked slowly between the pods. He saw one with a half-formed body inside. Twisted. Corrupted. What happened to them? "Too late," Althea said. "Their change was not controlled." Alien looked at her. "And you? What makes you different?" She didn't speak. But he understood. She had something inside her that kept the corruption at bay. Maybe it was the crystal. Maybe it was something else. Above them, soldiers moved closer to the old shelter. Dr. Thomas stood with a scanner in his hand. "She's here," he said. "I can feel it. Bring the tranquilizers. If she fights, use gas." Back below, Althea turned suddenly. "They found it," she said. "We must move." Alien grabbed her arm. "Where can we go?" "Only one place left," she replied. "Up." She walked toward the far wall and touched a glowing panel. A hidden door opened, leading to a vertical shaft. "This leads where?" Alien asked. "Sky," she said. Alien hesitated, then stepped in with her. The platform rose quickly. As it moved, he looked at her. "If they take you, everything ends, right?" She nodded. "Then we won't let them." The chamber they left behind faded into darkness. But inside one of the other pods, a pair of red eyes suddenly opened. Something else had awakened. Something that wasn't Althea. Something watching. The other one wakes. The hidden platform rose fast through the vertical shaft. Cool wind rushed past Alien's face as he held tightly to the rails. Beside him, Althea stood silently, her tentacles wrapped around her waist like a belt. Her eyes were closed, her body still. But inside her, something was moving. Something restless. As they neared the surface, Alien whispered, "Do you think we've escaped?" Althea opened her eyes. No, something followed. Back in the underground chamber, where the crystal pods had glowed quietly for centuries, a strange pulse ran through the room. Small lights flickered on the walls. The air grew heavy. In one of the dark pods, the red eyes burned brighter. Its glass cover cracked, and then shattered. A long, dark figure stepped out, taller than Althea. Thinner, its skin was jet black, and its arms ended in sharp tendrils instead of hands. It didn't walk. It hovered. Unlike Althea, it did not look human. Unlike her, It did not glow with warmth or hope. This one had been born for one purpose: hunt. And now, it could sense her. On the surface, the platform reached the exit, hidden behind a stone waterfall deep in the forest cliffs. Alien and Althea stepped into the early evening light. The sky was painted with purple and gold. Birds flew overhead. But the peace didn't last. A flash of red light shot across the sky. A signal. Althea turned her head sharply. They called for it. Called for what? Alien asked. The other one, she whispered. What other one? She looked at him. Her face had no fear, but deep pain. The one made from me. They ran. Alien led her through the narrow forest paths, away from the shelter, deeper into the wilds. He knew of an abandoned observatory on a hill where he once worked part-time as a teen. No one went there anymore. Maybe it could hide them. But something moved in the sky. Too fast. Too smooth. A black shape, like a shadow with wings. It flew above them and stopped, hovering. Then it dropped. Straight into the trees. The ground shook when it landed. Branches snapped. Birds scattered. Silence followed. Then a voice echoed, soft, broken, inhuman. Sister. Alien froze. Althea turned slowly. And there it was. The creature stepped into the clearing. Taller than both of them. Thinner. Its tentacles were longer and sharper. Its skin shimmered like dark oil. But what was worse, its face. It looked like her. Almost exactly like her. But twisted. Wrong. Corrupted. What is this? Alien whispered. She was grown from my cells, Althea said slowly, but changed by the weapon. The creature took a step forward. You ran, it said. We were meant to spread together. No, Althea said. I escaped. I chose life. You chose weakness, the creature replied. Its tentacles twitched. Alien stepped between them. Stay back. The creature tilted its head. You protect him. A human. How sad. He gave me hope, Althea said. Something you never had. The creature hissed. Hope is not survival. Only strength survives. Join me, or die. Without warning, it attacked. A blur of dark limbs flew forward. Alien grabbed Althea's arm and pulled her aside. The creature's tendrils slammed into the ground, splitting rocks. Althea's tentacles glowed bright. She moved fast, blocking the next strike with her limbs. Blue energy sparked where their organs clashed. Alien ran behind a tree, heart pounding. She's faster than anything I've seen, he whispered. But she's not trying to kill. Not yet. Althea and the creature fought, their tentacles moving like blades. Each strike left scorch marks in the ground. Each block sent shockwaves through the forest. But then, Althea stumbled. For a moment, her body flickered. Her skin dimmed. The mutation inside her was growing stronger. She was losing control. The creature laughed. See, it said, you are breaking. The body was never meant to hold purity. Althea growled softly. You don't understand. I'm not fighting for myself. I'm fighting for them. She looked at Alien. Then she did something strange. She reached into her chest, into the glowing lines under her skin, and pulled out a small sphere of blue light. Her tentacles wrapped it tightly. She threw it to Alien. Take it. Run. What is it? He shouted. The cure. But what about you? Go. The creature roared and lunged at Alien. But Althea blocked it with her whole body. Her tentacles wrapped around the enemy, dragging it into a pit of vines nearby. They rolled, fighting, tearing trees apart. Alien stared at the blue sphere in his hands. It was warm. It pulsed with energy. He could feel it breathing, living. He turned and ran. Through the forest, toward the observatory. Behind him, screams and shockwaves filled the air. Trees fell. Rocks cracked. And somewhere in the chaos, a voice called out his name. Alien. He didn't look back. He just ran. Because he knew, if he failed, Earth would be next. The truth inside Alien. The observatory stood alone on top of the hill, its round dome cracked and rusted. Wild vines covered its walls, and the old doors groaned as Alien pushed them open. He rushed inside, breathing hard, clutching the glowing blue sphere tight in both hands. Dust swirled in the air. Broken star maps and shattered screens lay across the floor. This place had once been full of knowledge, full of dreams. Now it was a graveyard of forgotten science. Alien dropped to his knees, heart pounding, sweat running down his neck. He looked at the sphere. It pulsed softly, like a heartbeat. He could feel it, calling to something inside him. "What are you?" he whispered. "Why me?" But the sphere gave no answer. Meanwhile, back in the forest, the fight between Althea and her corrupted twin had pushed past the trees. Energy exploded from their bodies, lighting up the night. Each strike grew more violent, more desperate. But Althea was weakening. Her skin flickered between silver and gray. Her tentacles lost some of their glow. Her movements slowed. The mutation inside her was spreading again. And she knew, without the sphere, she had no chance. Inside the observatory, Alien placed the sphere on a round metal platform. It reacted instantly. The old machine flickered to life. Blue light spread across the floor, activating long-dead systems. A hologram appeared above the sphere. Althea's face, calm and glowing. "This message is for the carrier of the cure," the voice said. Alien stood up fast. "You have been chosen. Not by chance. Not by accident." He stepped closer. "Your bloodline holds the key." The message continued. "The human genome has a forgotten piece, one that once came from the stars. A gift, or a seed." Alien's eyes widened. "What does that mean?" "You are a descendant of the Watchers," the voice said. "Humans who were changed long ago, touched by our kind, before history began." Alien stumbled back. "You carry the only human immune structure that can bond with the cured," it said. "You are not just protector, you are part of the cure itself." He sat down slowly, shaking. "My blood, my family, was part alien." The hologram faded. The sphere pulsed once more, this time brighter. Then it floated, slowly rising above the platform. And suddenly it burst open. Light shot out and slammed into Alien's chest. He screamed. His body rose from the ground. Blue lines spread across his skin like lightning. His eyes turned white. Every cell inside him shifted. The cure had chosen its final form. And it was him. Outside, a red flash filled the sky. The corrupted creature had broken free from Althea's grip. She lay on the ground, barely breathing. Her tentacles were damaged, cracked and bleeding strange silver liquid. The dark twin hovered above her. "You gave it to the human," she said. "Foolish." "He is stronger than you think," Althea whispered. The creature laughed. "No human can hold that power. It will eat him, unless he becomes more than human." Suddenly, the night sky lit up again. A figure appeared above the forest, flying fast, leaving a trail of blue fire behind. It was Alien, but not the same Alien. His body now glowed with power. The sphere had merged with him. Energy flowed through his arms, and from his back, tentacle-shaped wings of blue light. He didn't speak. He just looked at the creature and attacked. The air exploded with energy as they collided. Alien moved with speed he never had before. Each strike from his hand sent waves of force through the trees. The dark creature fought back, but something had changed. She was no longer stronger. She was equal. And slowly, Alien began to overpower her. His human emotions, his rage, his fear, his hope, they mixed with the alien power and made something new. Something unstoppable. "What are you?" the creature growled. "Not just human," Alien said. "And not like you." He raised his hand. Blue light gathered and blasted the creature backward into the forest wall. It didn't get up. He rushed to Althea's side. She was fading, her body barely holding together. "You need energy," Alien said. "Take mine." "No," she whispered. "You are the cure now. Your body holds what the universe needs." "Then we find a way together," he said. "I'm not leaving you." He touched her chest with his hand. The sphere's light moved from him into her. Not all of it, just enough. Her body healed slowly. The glow returned to her eyes, and she smiled weakly. "You're changing," she whispered. "Yeah," he said. "I noticed." But deep underground, back in the old base, the scientists had recovered the body of the creature. And one of them, Dr. Thomas, looked at the scans and said something terrible. "It's not dead," he whispered. "It's reproducing." And on the screen, red dots appeared. Not one, not two, but hundreds. Countdown to extinction. Inside the hidden government base, a cold silence filled the room. The scientists stood frozen, staring at the hologram projection in front of them. Dozens of red dots blinked on the screen. Each one marked a new mutation, a new infected. And they were spreading. Fast. "This is impossible," one whispered. "It was just one." "It was never just one," Dr. Thomas said, voice flat. "They're reproducing without hosts. The infection is adapting to Earth." "How long do we have?" someone asked. He didn't answer, because he already knew. Not long. In the forest, the wind blew softly through the trees. The stars above shined brighter than usual, almost like they were watching what was about to unfold. Alien sat near Althea at the top of the observatory's roof. They had taken shelter again, but this time it wasn't to hide. It was to think, to plan, to choose. His body was no longer fully human. Blue light moved under his skin like rivers. His senses were sharper. He could hear bird wings miles away. He could feel the breath of the planet. He had become something new. "How do we stop them?" he asked. Althea looked tired, but her eyes were strong again. "We don't," she said quietly. "You do." "Me? I'm not a soldier." "You're not just a person anymore," she said. "You're a cure with a mind." Alien shook his head. "I don't want to destroy anyone." "You may not have a choice," she said. "The corrupted don't think. They multiply. They take. And when they reach the cities," her voice faded. They both knew what would happen. At that moment, across the planet, strange sightings began. In the desert, a traveler reported seeing black shapes walking in the sand, tall, thin, with long limbs and glowing red eyes. In the snowy north, a mining camp was found abandoned. No bodies, only strange marks on the walls, spirals and tentacle shapes burned into stone. In the oceans, sonar picked up huge movements, things rising from the deep, moving toward land. The infection wasn't just spreading, it was preparing. Dr. Thomas stood before a secret council. Military generals, scientists, and political leaders watched him in silence. "This is not a virus," he said. "It's a biological network. It thinks, it plans, it learns, and it wants one thing: full control of this planet." "Can we stop it?" a general asked. "Not with weapons," Thomas said. "But there may be one chance." He tapped on the screen. A face appeared. Alien. Back at the observatory, Alien felt a strange pull in his chest, like something was calling him. Not with words, but with instinct. "Someone's trying to reach you," Althea said. "Through the energy lines." "Who?" Alien asked. "Your kind," she said. "Humans. They're starting to see you as their last hope." The next day, a sleek stealth ship landed in the forest clearing. It carried Dr. Thomas and a few peace envoys. Alien stood beside Althea as they approached. "You've changed," Thomas said, amazed. "I didn't ask for this," Alien replied. "We know," Thomas said. "But we need you." They showed him the latest data. The infection was spreading through air and water now. Small creatures were already mutating, and in 5 days it would reach the megacities. "If it gets there," Thomas said, "we lose Earth." Alien closed his eyes, and for the first time, he reached inward. He spoke to the energy within the cure, to the alien part of him. "What can I do?" A voice answered, soft, deep, ancient. "You must merge." "With what?" Alien asked. "With her." He looked at Althea. Her tentacles shimmered. "If we merge," she said, "our energy might burn hot enough to destroy the core infection." "Might?" Alien asked. "Or we both die," she said. "But the network dies with us." That night, they stood at the heart of the forest, at a place the infection couldn't touch, a natural energy point where the Earth's magnetic field was strongest. This was where it had to happen. "Are you ready?" Althea asked. "No," Alien said, "but let's do it anyway." They stepped close. Their hands touched. Then their bodies began to glow. Tentacles of light and energy reached out from both of them, wrapping together like vines. The sky flashed white. Deep underground, the corrupted core woke up. It sensed the fusion. It screamed, and sent everything it had, hundreds of infected beings, toward the forest. A final wave. A war. But something was rising in the trees. A tower of blue fire. A shield. A voice. "You do not belong here." And then a pulse exploded across the land. Not sound, not light, but truth. Every infected creature stopped moving. Some fell to the ground. Some screamed. And some simply vanished into dust. The pulse had found them and judged them. Alien and Althea floated in the air, their bodies one. Not man and woman, not human and alien, but the balance between creation and decay. Then the light faded. They dropped to the ground, silent, still. But after a moment, Alien opened his eyes. He was alive. And so was she. In the sky above, the stars twinkled again. The infection was gone. Earth was safe. For now. But deep in the cosmos, something had felt the pulse. And it was watching. Echoes beyond the stars. 3 weeks had passed since the fusion. The skies above Earth had returned to blue. Forests regrew. Oceans calmed. Cities began to breathe again. The infection was gone. The corrupted were dust. And the network that had nearly taken over the planet was silent. But peace had come at a cost. Alien and Althea had not returned to the world. They had vanished after the fusion. Across the globe, people whispered their names. Soldiers told stories of the glowing man and the alien girl who stood against the darkness. Some called them myths. Others called them saviors. But those who had seen the light with their own eyes knew the truth. They were real. And they had given the world a second chance. Deep in the hidden valleys, where no drone or satellite could reach, a secret place bloomed with strange new life. Silver trees with glowing leaves, blue grass that shimmered in moonlight, and in the center of it all, a small pond filled with clear, living water. This was the cradle zone, the place where the fusion ended, and where something new had begun. Beneath the roots of the largest tree, Althea opened her eyes. Slowly, softly, she was alive. But she was not the same. Her skin now held patterns like starlight. Her tentacles had changed, softer, longer, connected directly to the earth. She could feel everything, every heartbeat in the forest, every shift in the air. And beside her, sleeping peacefully, was Alien. He, too, had changed. His body no longer glowed with raw energy. It was calm, centered. But inside, the cure still flowed, not as a weapon, but as part of his being. He had become a bridge, the only true link between human and alien. When he awoke, she was smiling at him. "We lived," he said. Yes, she replied. But something else did too. He sat up slowly. The infection. No, she said. A signal. He frowned. What kind of signal? She pointed upward. To the sky. Millions of miles away, in the deep reaches of space, a long-forgotten satellite blinked. Not human. Not alien. Something older. It had felt the fusion pulse on Earth. The energy had traveled through the void, touching every corner of space like a ripple in water. And now, something ancient had awoken. A machine planet, buried in shadow, covered in wires and stone. Its lights turned on for the first time in 10,000 years. A voice spoke from its core. Protocol breach detected. Source: Earth. Prepare reconnection. On Earth, Alien stood under the sky, staring upward. He didn't know what was coming, but he could feel it. Althea stepped beside him. They know now, she said. Who? The ones who built the first stars. The ones who made both our kinds. Alien felt a cold wind move across the field. What will they do? Watch. Judge. Maybe visit. He looked at her. Then we need to be ready. In the months that followed, Alien and Althea helped rebuild what was lost. Not as heroes, not as leaders, but as guardians. They taught people how to recognize the signals of infection, how to grow with energy, not fight it. They planted healing zones all over the planet, places where life could reset. And quietly, in hidden rooms, they prepared for what might come next. Because they knew the truth now. The infection was not the enemy. It was a test, left behind by something greater. One night, as Alien looked at the stars, he spoke softly. We survived this time. We grew stronger, Althea replied. Do you think they'll come in peace? She smiled sadly. No, but I think they'll come with a question. And what's the question? Are we worthy to join the stars, or meant to stay in the dirt? Alien looked at his hands. Once human, now something else. Then we better have a good answer ready. Far above them, in the blackness of space, the machine planet turned slowly. Its eyes locked on Earth, and somewhere inside it, a seed opened, not of death, but of destiny.